Previously on Ballz.
Welcome to the studio. Nice to have you here finally.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for taking some time out to come
Absolutely.
visit us. It's always great chatting to you on the phone in various parts of the world when you're campaigning on the tour. And our PGA clap to Kevin Anderson. Breaking, it's back into the top 20, but your highest position ever, right?
I was 19 very shortly for a couple of weeks earlier on, but finishing the 20, which is, I can say top 20, which definitely feels good.
And I think when we spoke to you at the beginning of this year or towards the end of last year, I think that was your target to say that this year one of your aims was to finish in the top 20, right?
It was. I hadn't broken through to the top 30 as a year-end ranking, and a lot of people look, I think, at the year-end ranking as a sort of benchmark. There's definitely fluctuations during the year, but it's definitely an indication of the year you've had, and it's been my best year so far. So there's been a lot of positives. There's been a few things I'd like to maybe have done better and look to improve on next year. But overall, as I said, it's definitely been a good year for me.
Yeah, we'll chat about those in just a moment. I was going to ask Tash maybe if she can maybe just slide one place over. I don't think we've ever had it where we've had two of our top sportsmen,
No, we haven't.
sportsmen, sitting in the same studio next to each other.
No, and I don't
even know if we've actually met yet.
I don't think I know each other.
Julio, come and grab a seat there next to Tash. This is another one of our rising stars, Kevin. I don't know if you guys have been introduced, so let's introduce you on air. Gulio Zorzi, bronze medalist at the last World Championships for South Africa in the swimming pool. Kevin Anderson, top 20 ATP tennis player.
Nice to meet you again. Yep.
There we go.
Julia also a part-time Chippendale
Okay.
for pocket money.
Right, Julio was visiting us a little earlier. He's still here, and Kevin's just joined us today. So, the improvement this year, and as you say, reaching some, if not most, of your targets this year. What do you put it down to? Did you change coaches sort of over the course of the last year or so?
I did. I had Louis Forster, a South African guy, working with me for about 2.5 years, from midway through 2010 until the end of last year, 2012. And at that stage, made a decision to try something new. And I was very fortunate in that one of my best friends, who actually went to University of Illinois with me, I've known him since I was 12. He plays tennis as well. I've always been somebody I've always talked to about my tennis game. He was coaching his sister for a couple of years before that, and he said he would be very interested in coaching me and helping me for the year. So we gave it a shot. I started with him in December last year. I went to Auckland and did my off-season training there, and he's definitely had a big positive effect on my game this year.
Yeah, and obviously we keep, when we're not talking to you, obviously we can't talk to you all the time, but we do obviously keep tabs on your progress with Robbie Koenig a lot, who's become like part of the family here at Ballz. And I think around about that time he said that what the changing coach has done for you, maybe in an area of your game which was maybe your most vulnerable part, is where he's actually brought that up to the level of the rest of your game. Maybe you can just tell us if that's how you feel, that's what he's brought to your game, and just tell us what that was.
Oh, I'm not actually quite sure.
I think Robbie said. I think Rob was saying maybe that you're coming to the net more.
Okay.
You're more confident in doing that, and that's been a marked
perhaps.
improvement.
I think there hasn't been any drastic changes this year. I think it was a very solid base of the time I spent with Louis, and made some good improvements there, and we definitely continued some of the positives, and there was a lot of different thoughts, and that would naturally come from a different mind, and somebody giving me has his own experiences and his own vision for how he sees my game and how he's going to help me. I think the big things is I was really liking that he was able to spend about 45 weeks with me this year on the road. We've almost spent every week together. A lot of the times, coaches of course have their own families and their home setups where you're at the tournament with them, and then the off weeks where you can actually get to the court and really work hard on the practice. Sometimes you're left by yourself. You're still doing the best you can, but this year, just that continuity of match weeks going straight into training weeks, I think that's been a big plus. I think errors in my game, return of serve's been a big one. We've really worked hard on that, and just giving myself.
I think that's what Rob might have said.
Could have been just giving myself the best chance of trying to break serve, and it also takes a little bit of the pressure off having to hold serve. And then a few things, worked hard on movement, being tall. That's something that I'm always working on. I think also having somebody who is such a close friend and having that that friendship and that set up throughout the year. Together, my wife traveled with me the whole year as well. So my base and my camp was very strong.
So everything outside the game was
well,
very settled as well,
so I
which
think
does
it was
help.
a good combination of working hard week in and week out, making sure that we're improving some areas of my game, having that off court set up, and then I also think another year, just more experience and having been in those situations before, having played some of the top guys before, and just continually trying to improve and try to get better. That's been a very big theme for me.
I know someone was coming on. They're just linked onto that though. The other thing also is just like having someone new in your team and behind you and helping you. Sometimes just from a confidence point of view can be a change. And I think the prime example of that was just the change that Andy Murray made. Having a guy like Lendl in his corner. Just from a confidence point of view, you've just seen a complete body language switch with him as well, regardless of whatever he's done with his game.
I think it does help having somebody new in the camp. Definitely gives that spark, something new, something exciting, and I was definitely able to feel that this year. And actually, as things turned out, my coach GD he's taken a finance job starting in Auckland in February, so I'll be back to the board finding somebody else to work with next year. Haven't come up solidified anything yet, so there's still a few names out there, but it would be again somebody you have to have confidence, and hopefully if I get that person, also having that new guy will also have those similar feelings to what I've experienced in the past.
Simon?
Is he leaving because you're not paying him enough?
A
few more wins, Kevin. Come on.
I know.
No, what I wanted to say was how much of it is a mental thing, because I imagine that breaking into the top 20 must do wonders for your self-confidence, and you look at these fantastic players and you are one now, and just believing that you have the right to be there and to compete amongst the best, and that you view yourself as that.
I think that's a very big point, and actually even maybe going back a little bit, I think coming from South Africa, that was definitely one of the bigger challenges that I faced turning pro and playing on the tour. Is all these other guys I think had played with each other growing up. They'd been to many pro tournaments, and their tennis world in their eyes was much smaller than mine. And I remember the first few times I went onto the court playing guys who I'd seen playing on TV and ranked top in the world. That level of confidence of belonging on the court with them and just not feeling like I had to do something really special to win. Just going out there and playing my game, it was definitely a challenge at first, and that's something that's gotten a lot better as time's gone by. And I feel now I'm at a stage where I'm going out on the court against basically anybody in the world, and I'm not intimidated in that sense. I can almost look at purely as just in terms of my game. And yes, a big challenge for me is I think getting more top 10, top 20 wins. That'll be a big goal for me next year. But working hard, and I think the more you do it as well, I think the easier it gets.
Just keep you away from Thomas Burdick and you'll be fine.
I know. I've definitely had
No, don't keep him away from Thomas Burdick. We're hanging in for that day.
I definitely look forward to that challenge every time. And it's been each match we've played has been pretty big matches as well. It hasn't been any really first round matches. So even that, just a few of wins that year would have probably been the difference between where I am now and maybe even top 15. So you have to have solid results, which I think I've done this year, and look to do that next year as well. And then if I can get a couple more bigger results, I think that will be I'll continue to have a better year next year and break up into the maybe top 15 and maybe top 10 as well. Cool.
Okay. Right, we give Kevin a chance just to have a slurp of water and just have a little bit of a breather. We'll chat a little bit more about. We'll go back in time. Because tennis in South African schools and stuff, and going back to you're still a youngster. How old are you now?
I'm 27.
27.
Yeah.
Still a youngster in terms of compared to us lot. But we'll go back in time, get a little bit of history, and also just talk about some of the aspects of this year and some of the. Do you get to watch a lot of and follow the Springboks and the cricket and stuff there, or not? I mean, I know they don't. You have to sort of scour around and buy a sort of pay per view to try and find it on some obscure channel. But do you get to watch it?
I do sometimes. In December, January, obviously that's a lot of cricket going on, and being in Australia that time of the year, it's great to see. My coach GD cricket is number one sport, so we've seen a lot of cricket this year, and being in spending a lot of time in New Zealand this year, actually. Almost 2.5 months, and a month in Australia. So
You were with the box in New Zealand as well, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
Got to go out there a couple times, see some of their practices, and
Look
also went
down
out
on
to
Eben
the-
Etzebeth.
I think we're the same height, actually. So
I
I
don't know,
think
they
he's a
took
little-
that photo from a strange angle because it was
know.
from down below.
I
You
think it
couldn't
was-
actually see.
I think you're taller.
He said he was the same height. At least
course he's gonna say that.
measurements-wise, Yeah.
Did you have the jerseys out?
And would you argue with him?
No, I definitely wouldn't. That's the one thing I took away from meeting him.
Don't argue with him. All right, Kevin Anderson with us. You happy to spend a few more minutes with us to take a tune?
Absolutely,
And then
yeah.
we'll chat some more to Kevin Anderson, in studio guest. I'm sure Julia's dying to get in with a question as well sometime. We've never had any of our sports stars talk to each other, or we just sit back and watch. Give him some time to think about it.
We like to watch.
Joel Allentown. Especially for Graham, Tile and Floor Care Centre, who support our Wings of Change every time Spurs win. Yeah. You see, I don't know what to say about it because they're
Gunners.
supporting. You're a Gunners man like Cameron, eh?
Yeah.
Did Cameron get you onto the Gunners?
No, I think I got Cameron onto the
Oh,
Gunners,
really?
actually, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you
I'll
see,
claim
it's difficult because he's giving money to our charity cause, and at the same time, as an Arsenal fan, you just cannot even find yourself saying the word Tottenham without getting a bad taste in your mouth. It's very difficult. Do you support an English football team?
I'm more of the NFL football, American football.
That's interesting
fan.
times at the moment.
Yeah.
Gee, how the Dolphins
yeah.
bullying? Who would have ever thought?
I know.
Gee.
Yeah, so been into the fantasy and everything, so it's been good to watch.
All right. Did you take to that sport well as a viewer? I mean, did you?
It was one of those things where before I went over there, it was the world's worst sport.
Yeah.
You watch it and just, what are these people doing? And then after about 6 months, once I got to understand the game a little bit and know what's going on, and also being in Illinois, the Bears made the Super Bowl in '05, which was my first year there, so that was a little exciting. And since then, it's such a pastime. It's unbelievable. It's football season, and it's what everybody's talking about. So you kind of almost swept into it.
So you're a Bears fan, eh?
I'm not a huge Bears fan, but if I could choose something to win, I'd definitely root for the Bears.
What
Okay.
about hockey?
What? Hockey. Is
Ice
that your
hockey.
question,
Ice
Julia?
hockey. No,
No, they call
I
it
have a
hockey
good
there.
question.
Yeah.
Kevin, is your girlfriend into sports?
Sorry, can Julia's question be answered first?
Okay, cool.
Sorry, what is that question? Is your girlfriend into sports?
Does she play a lot of sports?
How can you ask that?
No, I don't know. You never know. I'm
Can
sure
you
Kevin's
answer
very
Julia's
sporty.
question
Yes,
first,
go for
Johnny?
it, go for it.
I got a question, actually.
The hockey, no. Who do you
Wait,
support in the
do we-
hockey?
Are we
I got
doing
a
hockey first?
Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
hockey first.
Well, I don't know why
Do you
I
care?
put myself into that, but I don't know much about hockey. I just know that everybody said it's one of the more exciting live games, and I went to one couple years back, and it's pretty exciting. It's incredibly fast, and if you ever get the chance, I think it's you should definitely.
It's
go.
fine to watch live, but geez, I find it difficult to watch on the TV.
Yeah, I
can't see
think
the
that's
puck.
a big thing. It's
Not
pretty
see what
big
the puck's
difference,
going
yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
I think
Those
it's a big
guys do
difference
big
seeing it
hits.
live and then
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
yeah.
Edmonton Oilers for me.
What about the Penguins or the
Yeah.
Boston Bruins?
Yeah.
Or the Mighty Ducks.
Well,
The
of course, the
Mighty
Chicago
Ducks.
Blackhawks. That's,
Quack, quack.
Flying V.
Okay, can I ask the question now?
For me, it's the Cardinals, the Oilers, and the Bengals, actually, which I don't think they have any other supporters around the world. Yeah, they haven't won a game since Boomer played in Super Bowl. So, anyway, sorry, what was your question
Yeah, I want to know.
about?
Kevin met his lady, and is she very much into sport?
Yeah,
What kind of lady is she? Was she South
well,
African?
She's my wife now, for
Yes.
almost 2 years, and she played golf at university. That's how we met. Her dad's
Where here?
a couple in the States.
in the States,
Yeah,
okay.
at Illinois, and golf's huge in her family, and I've tried to pick up a few tips and some lessons. This year's been a little tough. I've had a couple injuries, which has restricted my golf playing, but fortunately with golf, it's something you can play when you're older on. So when I'm done with tennis, I'll try to get onto the course a little bit more.
You must hit a ball a mile.
I don't actually, though. That's
She's
that's-
American.
That's what everybody tells me. She is American. Yeah, she was born in Florida and then moved to Illinois, and now we've just got a place in Florida, which is just maybe 20 minutes of where she was born. So she's done a bit of a circle there.
What now? When you were a youngster, growing up here in whereabouts in Joburg?
In Joburg, yeah, in
School?
in Hyde Park, St. Stithians.
Oh, you're a
Yeah,
Saints boy. Okay.
yeah.
Did you go to St. Peter's first as a junior school boy?
No, I went to St. John's actually for a couple of years, and
Okay.
they wouldn't let me play on the tennis team, and so I
Oops, St.
moved to
John's.
yeah.
Did you know
Why?
Chris
I
Froome
moved
there?
into Saints. Huh?
Why wouldn't
You
they
know
let
Chris
you?
Froome?
Yeah, well, two questions. Yeah, well, the first was I think in grade 1 you could only play with grade 1s, and then grade 2 you could only grade 2s or something. But I actually was sort of the best in the prep school, so that wasn't working. So we moved to Saints, and yeah, I loved it. It was definitely a great time being.
St. John's is one of those scenarios where someone was telling me the other day that their teacher, and I think they were also at St. John's, funny enough, had said to them, "You will never amount to anything." And they're like massive at the moment in exactly what they're doing. So it's the same type of thing. No, you can't play tennis.
Yeah.
But I mean, tennis. Even going back to my school days, it wasn't anything massive. There wasn't any sort of really big program for tennis in schools. Swimming had more of a program because I think every Thursday we used to walk down to the Linden swimming pool and go and swim, and they used to have galas and stuff. But tennis, it wasn't really a organised program. Yet, I mean, our little school, De La Salle, produced the Moya brothers, who actually did pretty well on the tour. Not brilliantly, but they got onto the tour as well. So, and in your day, was there any? Had it improved at all?
Yeah, I don't think school tennis, as you said, wasn't one of the biggest sports. Definitely, I mean, most of the other sports were quite a bit bigger, and my brother played tennis as well, and school tennis we played a lot of it, but a lot of our tennis was just done at home. My dad taught both of us. We were fortunate enough to have a court at our house as well, which made things really easy, and we were obviously out there a lot. We used to join in some squads as well around here as well. We used to go out into Pretoria. My mom used to drive us to the ITF training squad, which was incredibly strong in those years. That was great practice for us. But a lot of it was just done privately.
You almost had to.
Yeah.
If you didn't do it privately, you basically because I know Balotelli had at one stage was starting up a school somewhere in the Fourways area, and that kind of who was the guy, also a former tennis player who owned that place. His name will come to me. But they kind of fizzled out as well. So there was, as you say, you just had to go and do it yourself.
Yeah, and so you do it for as long as you can, and then, which I did, and then you get to that stage where you're done with juniors and you're done with school here. I thought the junior tennis here was, quite good. The circuit we had, there was maybe not quite at the level of, say, the Europeans in terms of not necessarily the strength, but the structure. But we still could play 15 tournaments a year. And but once you're done with that, you need to make that choice of if you're going to continue with tennis, and that's why you see a lot of tennis players going over to the States and getting involved in some of the college programs.
Yes, you must have caned Oaks at school. You must have absolutely smashed them.
Tennis there is really good. I started my freshman year. I played three on the team, and
No, talk about here.
oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
when
you
you
must
say, I always think there.
You're back home, Kevin.
Yeah. I was always ranked 1 or 2 throughout. There was a couple other guys. Fritz Volmerans was a tough competitor, and he's played pro now for a while. He's struggled with a few injuries, but I think there's a lot of potential there. Just he's hasn't been able to get some consistency and get some good results going. But it's funny, you look back and there were so many kids playing, and so many a lot of matches in those junior days, and obviously 10 years later there's only a handful of us still playing.
And tennis, I think, is still one of the top 5 most popular sports in the country, across entire country's population, which is another, maybe it's an indictment against our structures here. Julia, you wanted to ask Kevin a question?
I wanted to ask you, so like swimming, athletics, all those sports, we build up to the Olympics, and if you win an Olympic gold medal, it's the top achievement you can get. So minus, say, like the prize money for Wimbledon or Australian Open or something like that, which one would you pick to win if you could?
Yeah, well, it's a tough question, but I think for me it would be a Grand Slam. That's what I grew up looking at, watching the 4 Grand Slams each year, dreaming, having posters up. This is what what tennis evolves around. And when a little bit older, when I got to appreciate the Olympics more, and actually experiencing in Beijing, it's also obviously an amazing event, and that would definitely be up there. But if I had to choose, I personally would choose a Grand Slam, and I'd be willing to venture further and say of the top 100 tennis players, I'd be surprised if not all 100 would also give you the same answer, which I guess more of a contentious debate is, which I've had before, is
which one?
Which
I
one?
think golf as well. Well, in terms of Olympic sports, where, as you said, every other sport, which I find amazing, how you guys periodize your whole training schedules, for this one event, which happens every 4 years, and tennis and golf is quite a bit different, and so that's it's I think it's a very interesting debate. Yeah.
Just checking out, and there's a little debate going on with somebody on Twitter about it as well, which links into that point as well. I just want to thank everyone for their tweets. We've sent their tweets through. Just people saying how's it welcome, people that you might know. We'll get to some of those in just a moment. One of them has been, and obviously it brings up the whole issue around the Davis Cup again, and I was just asking you off the air. So now, if you don't play Davis Cup for South Africa, you won't be chosen, because you have to be chosen to play for South Africa at the Olympic Games. So you won't be part of the South African team, which would really be doff in my mind that we don't send Kevin Anderson to represent us there. You're representing South Africa around the world playing tennis. And the key question here with this whole debate is, I mean, do you get paid to play Davis Cup if you play?
Yeah. And it maybe not without getting to specific numbers, it's very minimal. It's in terms of my yearly expenses and weekly expenses. It's basically we cover, maybe less than half a week of expenses, and so it's playing or not playing is from the financial standpoint. If that was the only reason to play or not play, you definitely wouldn't be playing, because it would be costing me actually quite a bit to come out and with my team and everything. It's a very expensive sport.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference with the conversation that we've been having with at jdup814 on Twitter. The comparison about but you should play for your country because that's what our rugby players do, blah 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 blah. Wherever they're playing, they come and play for their country, but they're on big Springbok contracts.
I think just one point on that, which just talking at home just a little bit ago is, and I don't want to get into trouble in this area because I don't exactly know how the contracts work for the Springboks and the Proteas and stuff, but I know from the tennis standpoint is the little that we do get is just for that week.
Yeah.
If anything happens to us in that week, if anything happens to
You're
me
not
that
covered.
week, that's just me at a loss. And if I'm, for instance, say a tie after Miami right before the whole European clay court season, something happens to me in that tie, I'm just at a loss. There's no protection there or anything. So that's also, it's a risky thing. You're playing 3 out of 5 sets. I would be playing 3 matches. There's not a lot of time from your last tournament. You've played a whole lot of tournaments already, and then leading up to the next event, if it's on clay, you could easily be playing the Davis Cup tie on hard courts, and it's a very quick transition. And some of the top guys have said the same thing. It's a very grueling calendar. This year, just being on the council and being privy to some of the discussions of calendars and weekly schedulers, and it's definitely a huge point. And the Davis Cup's a little separate because it's run by ITF and not ATP, and there's 4 or 5 weeks devoted to it. So I think maybe in the future there'll be a better solution, but as it stands now, it definitely poses quite a few challenges to play. Is
the fact that South Africa is not competing in the Premier Group in the Davis Cup also have something to do with it? I think so, and also if you look in an effort to, I think, make it more appealing, the ATP has introduced ranking points at the World Group stage, and the guys there, at least there's something to offer apart from everything else that they take from Davis Cup. They still it's benefiting their rankings, and they're getting tough competitions as well. So I think that would be a minor point as well. Yes, but it's such a catch-22, and I mean I hear you and what you're saying about your finances and making it viable for you, but also on the other hand, you look at South Africa needs to get out of that zone so that they can make their way up to the Premier Group, and would they necessarily be able to do that without you? Well, we don't know. Yeah, I think looking at it, and obviously this is just my opinion as well, as far as the bigger picture goes, I think you look at the guys playing right now, and we are quite far and few between. Raven Klaassen's done very well this year. His doubles ranking has shot up, and it's great seeing him there. I think he's almost top 50 now. Isak van der Merwe has been hurt this year, so hopefully he can get up again. Rick, I think he's a great player, but he'd be the first to say he's, I think, also getting towards the end of his career. So I'm 27. I'm not a young sort of junior anymore. So in terms of, I think, changing tennis as maybe being in the World Group might be beneficial, but I think more beneficial would be, I guess, creating more of a structure, and that starts
obviously from guys who are really young. And as I've said before, I think, I understand some people, I think, are with me with the Davis Cup. Some people aren't. I know for myself, going around the world and, still playing as a South African, there's a lot of people around who are there supporting me and who I'm chatting to, which definitely brings me a lot of encouragement. And I remember growing up myself, having a Wayne Ferreira who was in the top 10. Obviously, I'm still working there. I'm top 20 now, but having that as well, to see that it is possible even from here to make it as a tennis player, it's a lot of hard work, but if you're willing to do it, it's possible. And I look at myself, and hopefully I've been able to inspire a few kids to believe in themselves and take up the game of tennis and push themselves to do well.
All right, we'll wrap up with Kevin and Gulio in just a short while. It's been an amazing, interesting chat with Kevin Anderson. Lots of people tweeting the photographs we've taken of Gulio and also of Kevin in studio. Thank you very much, Heaven Salon. Thank you very much for your tweet. Sorry about that song wasn't the right one that you wanted. Then Jacques was having that debate. We'll get to that in a moment because sort of it ended on a very nice note. Maz is busy chatting to him on behalf of Ballz. About the whole Davis Cup issue. And who else is there? Sarah saying, watched you play at Wimbledon in 2011. Sarah. Thanks a lot for your tweet, Sarah. Let's go. Brian also, thanks for your tweet. The Fun Bird. There was another one here. Anna Wood. Thank you very much for yours. Pat Ketley, The Real McCaw. Say hi to Kevin for me. He's a great guy. Do you know The Real McCaw? What's his Twitter handle? We spoke to him on the air. What's his name? Alistair McCaw. Johnny, focus.
Yes, it's Alistair McCaw.
Okay.
Alistair McCaw. Heaven Salon asking, who was the last South African male to be in the top 20?
Probably Wayne.
Probably Wayne. And it comes down to this whole debate, amongst all the other tweets that we got. Andrew Elliott also going, other players have made the sacrifice, so why not Kevin? Go back to what you said. You had to start on your own. You had to do your own thing, pay your own cost to get somewhere in tennis as a South African because there was no really any structures that would support you. So I don't see any reason why someone who had to basically go from that into competing and getting into the top 20 on the ATP Tour had to do it all yourself through hard work. Should feel one way or the other guilty when, suddenly when there's Davis Cup. I mean, you have played Davis Cup, but I think Wayne had the same issues as well. The difference is with them and anybody else, because there are others that maybe have made the sacrifice, but none of them have been top 20 players. So it's kind of like a choice you've got to make in some ways.
At the end of the day, it is. And as I've said before, it hasn't been an easy choice. But it's a choice that I think back to what I've devoted my whole life to. And, in the last couple of years, and really learned that my scheduling and my health is very important. And playing... It's been tough. There's been a lot of challenges playing, and for me, it's just been about what can I do to, have my best results. And I don't know if maybe that comes across a little bit selfish, but it's, as you said, it's been in a sense, it's a selfish sport in that everything I've done has been,
it's a living. You sacrifice your life for that.
Exactly, yeah. And hopefully there would be times where opportunities come to play. In the last couple of years, it has been tough, and so I think there's a lot of people who understand that, and hopefully those who don't can at least see the reasons to why I've made the decisions that I have.
Final one, Simon.
Yeah. Will you always consider yourself a South African, or do you have plans to change citizenship now that you're based permanently in the States?
Yeah, it's come up a little bit. I mean, that's, I don't know necessarily where it came from, but I'm always going to be South African.
Well, you can travel to more places on a South African passport now.
Yeah.
Don't knock the green mamba, man.
Yeah. But at the same time, as Darren said early on, right now I am based in the States, and that is right now my home, and I'm married to an American. That's where my life is now, and in a couple of years' time, I will be able to get citizenship. So I'm going to get, hopefully, if that process goes smoothly, I will have dual citizenship, and in terms of travel, it'll make it easy. But that doesn't really change, in terms of being South African or not.
Yeah, Johan Crick, similar thing. Although his was a different scenario, he had to be able to play where he wanted to play. Well, there we go, Kevin. Wish you all the best. We really appreciate you coming in and spending some time with us today. Thank you very much. Thank your mom as well, who's accompanied you.
Come and taking me in.
No tennis here in South Africa. How long are you here for now?
Oh, I've been playing a little bit. I've been playing with my dad a bit. It's great getting out there and going back to the thousands of hours spent on the practice court. So it's nice to go there, and we practice out at Saints. It's it's a really beautiful place to practice, and it's nice being able to spend time with my parents and some family and friends back here in South Africa.
Awesome. Well, we'll try and keep tabs with you as much as possible while you're traveling around. Targets now, I think it's the same time this year. So your targets for next year, what, top 10? And
yeah, I think top 10 would be a terrific year. Maybe this time next year I'll be playing in London, which everybody says is the most fantastic event, and I think that would be it looks awesome. A true reflection on a great year. So I played a lot of those guys. I've beaten some of them. So if I can keep going and keep improving and play good tennis at the right times and win some key matches, I think I definitely believe that I have a good chance of being there.
All right. So top 10 next year, at least more wins against Thomas Burdick than defeats.
Yep.
That's what we hope for you as well.
Definitely.
And we'll try and keep tabs with you, as we say. Thanks a lot, and enjoy your Christmas and your holidays here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Kevin.
And Gulio, thanks for popping in, bud. You've been sitting here listening with fascination, interest, even throwing in the odd question. Gulio Zorzi, our Ballz-sponsored swimming star of the future, and already a medalist at the World Champs. We wish you all the best for your upcoming events, and of course we know there's medals coming at the Olympics in Rio, so keep up the hard work, bud.
No pressure.
Thanks for popping in to visit us. As you know, you've got an open door anytime. Okay, Gulio Zorzi, we will be having a chat to him and bumping into him a few more times over the course of the next few weeks. And that's our two very special superstar guests at Ballz Visual Radio and Mix 93.8 FM today.
Visual Radio. Weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central African Time. Radio like you've never seen it before. Ballz.co.za